Hi, welcome to our online version of our 2024 information session for the Veterinary Technician program at Ventura College. My name is Dr. Mackenzie Rasmussen, and I am the program director for the Vet Tech program here at Ventura College. Today, I wanted to be able to review some of the key points about our program, as well as give some highlights to the application process, particularly some changes that have recently been applied. Many of you were able to attend our in-person session a few days ago, but for those of you who weren't, hopefully this will answer some questions that you may have in completing that application process and deciding if this is the right program for you. If you do have any additional questions, we will have some contact information at the end of this presentation so that you can certainly reach out to us and ask any additional questions that may arise. Our veterinary technology program is a 2-year program that is housed out at East Campus in Santa Paula. As I mentioned, it's a 2-year program. At the end of the first year, students achieve their certificate of certificate of achievement rather in veterinary assistant. And then it's at the end of the second year that students achieve their associate's degree in veterinary technology. After achieving this associate's degree, this is what allows students to take the national licensing exam, so the VTNE. This is the licensing exam that allows individuals to become registered veterinary technicians, or RVTs, here in the state of California. And so our courses help prepare students that want to work in any number of veterinary-related fields. Certainly, I would wager that most of our students are working in small animal or large animal practice, but certainly RVTs can work in any number of veterinary-related industries. You can, go into lab research. You can work with pharmaceutical companies, food companies. Certainly there's no end of job possibilities for individuals once you have that RVT. And so while, having the RVT, is not required to work with animals in general, it certainly is a higher measure of your competence and your knowledge and your expertise in nursing animals. And so that essentially is what you are the nurses of the veterinary medicine. And so, again, our courses go through a range of topics, and we'll kind of review some of those towards the end of our presentation, but certainly cover all major domestic species beside, cats and dogs, horses, ruminants, exotics of a variety. And so again, our courses do try to cover a broad number of topics to really prepare students to work in a large number of fields. All of our classes, as I mentioned, are held out at East Campus, which is in Santa Paula. We do have classroom facilities at that East Campus, and we do also have a newly completed teaching lab that is finally done with construction and is slated to open for the fall 2024 semester. And so this is where all of our hands-on animal skills and teaching courses will be held. And so it's not very far, just down at the other end of the building behind Ohana Pet Hospital in Santa Paula. And so if you have any additional questions about whether you think this program is the right one for you, certainly please reach out to myself or to any of our staff. Again, our contact information will be at the end. This is, again, a program for registered veterinary technicians. And so if you have intentions to become a veterinarian, this is not necessarily the program for you. Certainly, we can review what might be a more appropriate pathway. But again, this is really for individuals that want to be veterinary nurses. And so as far as other highlights about our program, we do have a zero textbook cost. So our textbooks are covered under the ZTC program, and so you only have one textbook that you need to purchase throughout the entire length of the program. As far as other expenses related to the program, the only other expenses would be the purchase of a stethoscope, which you can use throughout your career, and then also some program-related scrubs as well. And so certainly if you are accepted, we will go into all of those things in greater detail, but just wanted to kind of summarize kind of some of the key highlights as far as expenses go, and we'll go over financial aid and those sorts of things in just a bit as well. One final point that I wanted to make before we get to this application process is that students are admitted once a year. So we admit a new cohort of students once yearly in the fall. We, at this point in time, are only able to accept 24 students each year. For those students that are admitted, you move through your courses as a cohort. So that means that you take your courses in a prescribed order through the 2 years of the program. And so we do have a guarantee that you get into all of your vet tech courses if you are accepted to the program. Unfortunately, our vet tech courses are not available to those outside of our accepted cohorts. And that's just due to our availability of teachers and to make sure that the students that are going through the program really have that direct contact and sufficient time to be able to devote it to them to make sure they make the best of their program and do well on their national licensing exam. So getting to the application process, there are various steps that you need to move through in order to make sure that you check all the boxes to get that application turned in. First and foremost, you have to apply to Ventura College. And so before you do any of the vet tech specific items, you need to make sure that you apply to Ventura College. And so if you are already a if you are already a Ventura College or other VCCD student, then you don't need to go through this process. But you do need to go ahead and put through that application if you have not taken courses recently with Ventura College. Once you submit your Ventura College application, you will go ahead and get an email confirming that your application has been received, and then you'll get another email stating that your Ventura College application has been accepted. And so once you get that acceptance email, that's when you can go ahead and get access to your 900 number, which is your student ID number, because you're going to need that number and that information in order to fill in your veterinary technician application. And so when you are applying, don't choose vet tech as your major, because since you do have to get accepted into the program, it'll cause some delay. So choose something else like biology or like some other sort of life sciences, and then that can be changed once you're admitted into the program. And so you do need to also send a copy of your transcripts. And again, if you have any questions, certainly, admissions and records is available to answer any questions you have about that general application process for Ventura College. So once you have, you've applied to Ventura College, you have your 900 number, that's when you can go ahead and start ticking off the boxes for all of the vet tech specific program application. And so let's go over that. So on the application, there are a series of steps that are listed in a checklist. And so first step was apply to Ventura College. The next several steps don't have to be completed in a particular order. They just all have to be, make sure you have them done. And so we do require that all students that are applying to the veterinary technology program have a current FAFSA or CalDream Act application. And so that means an application for the 24-25 school year. So if you did it last year, you have to do it again. And so this is regardless of whether you plan on accepting financial aid or need financial aid or think you're eligible. We are collecting data about our students, and so we do need you to go ahead and fill out one of those applications, and the website addresses for those are on the application process. So that's, again, another step that you have to go through before you submit your application. And again, that's for all students, regardless of whether you plan on accepting financial aid. We do also have the requirement that you spend a minimum of 8 hours observing a veterinary practice. And so this is not, you're not applying for a job, you're not doing anything, you're simply spending time in a veterinary practice to observe what happens. We want to make sure that students are aware of what happens on a day-to-day basis in a veterinary hospital, so just so you have a little inkling of what you're getting into. For those of you that already work in a veterinary hospital, then that's done, right? You have your observation hours. For those of you that have not worked in a veterinary hospital, that's fine too. Everyone has an equal chance of being accepted. In those instances, you do need to reach out to a local practice. That can be a small animal practice, large animal practice. It can be a 24-hour hospital, a general practice. It does have to be somewhere where they have a full service hospital, so it can't be something like a vaccine clinic or a shelter where they don't have a veterinary clinic present. If you need further guidance in what constitutes this, if you need help in setting this up, then do contact us. But overall, this is your responsibility to reach out to a local practice. We have emailed all of the local practices in both Santa Barbara and Ventura counties. Not that you have to do it in those counties, but those practices are aware that our applicants will be reaching out to them to be able to spend some time in their practice. And again, this is not a paid thing. You're just there to go step foot in the building and observe what happens on a day-to-day basis in a veterinary practice. Again, you need a minimum of 8 hours. There is an observation form that the manager or whoever you're with that day, or if you're breaking it up into multiple days, that they do need to sign. They need to check off what sorts of procedures you've observed, and sign that that you were there. And so again, if you have questions about this process, please let us know. Otherwise, again, look at the application in that section for observation hours, and it does give you a little more detail. There is also a letter and a form to submit to the practice that you choose to visit. We do also need you to send transcripts. And so for any coursework that you have completed outside of Ventura Community College District, then you need to submit official transcripts. And so this can be through some requesting platforms such as Parchment or National Clearinghouse. But you need to submit your official transcripts to Ventura College Admissions and Records. And that also goes for AP scores, any official AP scores that you have. So again, these need to be official transcripts. If you have done all of your coursework through the VCCD colleges, so Oxnard College, Moorpark College, Ventura College, if you have completed all of your coursework there, you do not need to send your transcripts. We already have them. This is only for coursework that has been completed outside of the Ventura Community College District. Once you have submitted those, you do want to go ahead and follow up and request that you have your transcripts evaluated by one of the academic counselors, and also to make sure that they were received. After you have sent your transcripts and requested to have them evaluated, then you need to make an appointment with one of our 2 dedicated counselors, academic counselors. And so Maria de las Flores and Beatriz Zumbo are our 2 counselors that are specific to the Vet Tech program. I do request that you make an appointment with only those 2 people. So Maria or BZ, those only 2 individuals in the counseling department that you should make an appointment with. you do need to make this appointment and meet with them before you send in your application. So you can't just make an appointment for later. You have to have met with them before you submit your application. And again, it does need to be one of those two because they are most aware of what the requirements for the program are, and they are keeping track for us to make sure that everyone, has all their ducks in a row. And so, again, their names are listed on our contact information for how to contact them. Their name is on the application, so you can't miss it. So please make sure that you schedule and meet with them before you turn in your application. And then last but not least, there is the actual physical application. And so on that application, there's just basic information about yourself. And so, just your name, address, personal information, those sorts of things. And there are at this point also some essay questions that do need to be answered. These questions revolve primarily around, what you think veterinary technology is and what a veterinary technician does, and what your life as a vet tech might be. You are not graded on these essay questions. Our admission into our program is via random lottery. And so these essay questions, again, are not serving as a barrier or you're not getting graded or points for how well you answer them. There's not a right answer. It's mostly for you to have an opportunity for a little self-exploration, making sure you've really thought about wanting to enter the program and kind of what that would mean for you. And so, again, I'm not trying to scare anyone off. I just want everyone to have a good idea of what an RVT does, because this is a challenging program, and so I know that, everyone can be successful with, the right attitude and hard work, and support from us. But I just want to make sure that you know kind of what you're getting into before beginning. And so, again, if you have any concerns as you're moving through this application checklist, then please let us know. There are some Cash for College dates coming up, and so you can search on the Ventura College website for Cash for College, and those are some financial aid workshops. Individuals from admissions and records will be there as well to help with the application process. And so, again, the Ventura College website, lots of information to help you reach out to our program directly, again, if you need help from us. One final note is that if this is not your first time applying to the program and last year you did your observation hours already, if you have previously done your observation hours, you do not need to do them again. And so we have your forms from last year. And so please just state in the email when you're submitting your application that you were a last year applicant and that we should have the copy of your observation form. And so again, if you work in a practice and this is your first time applying, just have your practice fill out that observation form. But again, if you are applying for the first time and don't work in a practice, you do need a minimum of 8 hours. All right, and so those are some of the main highlights as far as our application process. One thing, though, that I do want to go over is that we do have some addition of prerequisites to our program. And so this is the one kind of new thing for the program this year. And so applicants that want to enter for the fall of 2024 do need to have completed our 4 prerequisite classes by the end of this spring semester. And so this spring semester is your last opportunity to complete those prerequisites. We unfortunately cannot accept any classes taken during this upcoming summer, simply because we don't have a way of being able to get those grades in time by the time we're admitting students to the program in the fall. And so I would urge anyone who has not required these prerequisites, and I'm going to go change slides in just a moment to tell you what they are. If you have not completed these prerequisites, then what I would strongly suggest is that you meet still with one of our academic counselors. So Maria or BZ, meet with one of them and set up your plan to get these prerequisites taken, and also knock out some GEs as well. And so there are some GEs that are required for the program as well. I would suggest meeting with one of our academic counselors so that you can get all of that set up so that you're ready for the following application year. So again, even if you're not ready this time, I would urge you to get everything, in line so that you're ready for the following year's application. So again, if you have already submitted or if you have done all of your coursework here at Ventura College or one of the other VCCD colleges, you don't need to do your transcripts. But again, if you do need to submit them, they do need to be official. And again, you can do that through one of the online programs such as Parchment or National Student Clearinghouse. The application is due as of April 10th by 10 a.m. So you do need to email that application to us, and that email address is on the application. You need to email that application to our VetTech website or to our VetTech email address no later than 10 in the morning on April 10th. At that point, you have to have completed all of the other steps. So again, you have to have met with the counselor, you have to have completed your essay questions, you have to have done your observation hours, you need to have filled out your financial aid forms, you need to have done all of those things before you submit your application. And they need to be done before 10 a.m. on Wednesday, April 10th. We will be notifying students either way, whether you're accepted or not, by April 22nd. And so you'll get an email either way to let you know that you were accepted into the program or that you would need to reapply next year. We do have a temporary wait list. So for students that are not part of the initial 24, we do actually choose names at random for all of the applicants. And so if there's 57 applicants, then you'll be ranked somewhere 1 through 57. And this is done, again, by random lottery. We're literally drawing your name out of a hat and putting it in the order that we draw it. If any of those 24 students, for whatever reason, withdraw from the program, before the start of the semester in the fall, then we will go down that temporary wait list and take the next name on the list to join the program. And so even if you get an email and it said you weren't accepted, I do still strongly suggest that you keep checking your VCCD email or VCCD email. And so again, that is how we will communicate with you. So please make sure you're checking your college email account. Don't check your personal email account. We're not going to email you there. It is your VCCD email that we will be contacting. And so again, if you say, we're told that you don't get in, still do go ahead and make sure you're monitoring that email through the summer and right before the fall semester starts. Most years we have taken people off the wait list to come into the program. So just be sure you are continuing to observe or to check your email. This waitlist, as I mentioned, is just temporary. Unfortunately, we're not able to carry over that waitlist to the following year. And so if you are not accepted into the program for fall 2024, you do actually have to reapply and be re-entered into the lottery for fall 2025. And so unfortunately, that's how our, what we're allowed to do at this point in time. So just a couple last things, just to give you some additional information. The financial aid, again, as I mentioned, we need every applicant to fill out the financial aid document. Whether you plan on getting financial aid or not, this is still a required step. For residents for citizens and residents of the U.S., you would go through the financial aid, the FAFSA form, so FAFSA.gov. For our non-residents, our Dreamer students, then you would go ahead and fill out the California Dream Act application because we do accept everyone. And so if you have questions about how to fill out either of these documents, the FAFSA or the Cal Dream Act application, again, reach out to that financial aid office. They are more than happy to help you through that. There are, again, as I mentioned, Cash for College events where there are representatives from financial aid as well as representatives from admissions and records to help you through the financial aid process and the college application process. And so if you, again, have questions, please reach out to them. Additional financial aid resources include the VC Promise. And so for first-time, full-time college students, you do have the opportunity to get 2 free years of college tuition. And so go ahead and again, look more on the financial aid page of the Ventura College website for more information about this. Again, this goes towards enrollment fees, the health fee, all of your, all of your fees for the first 2 years. For those students who have already taken college, but you are California residents, there is also the California College Promise Grant, which does also help with tuition as well. And so again, I would urge you to reach out to financial aid about these 2 programs to understand how they apply to you. And then finally, we do have a separate entity, which is the Ventura College Foundation. And they do have a whole host of scholarships, some veterinary technician specific scholarships. And so going to the Ventura College Foundation website, again, that's separate from the financial aid website, going to their website to be able to access different information about different scholarships that are available because we really, want you to succeed. Again, there's, only one textbook that you need to buy throughout the entirety of the program. Again, you can have most of your fees covered, if not all, for the time that you're there. And so, so again, we want to make this as doable for everyone as possible. So as I mentioned, the students, for those students that are accepted, we will send notification out either way by the 22nd of April. And so for those students that are accepted, you will be moving through your courses in a preset schedule. So it's not where you can take courses in any order. All of our vet tech courses are in a specific order throughout the 2-year program, and they're only offered once a year. And so all of your courses, all of the coursework does need to be passed with a grade of C or better. This also applies to your GEs. This also applies to your prerequisites. And so all of your coursework for the Certificate of Achievement and for the Associates of Science in Veterinary Technology do have to be completed with a C or better. And so for those students that are accepted as well, we do at the beginning of the program have a health screening and mandatory orientation that you must attend. And so that's usually in the weeks leading up to the start of the fall semester. And so we do also make it a requirement that students meet with academic counselors at right before the beginning of each semester to make sure that you are on track with all of your courses, that you're registered for the appropriate courses, and that you're on set to complete the program in the required time frame. If students do not pass their courses with a grade of C or better, then unfortunately you are dropped from the program. There is the option to reapply once to the program if you unfortunately do have to drop out. So as promised, there are our prerequisite courses. So all students, in order to apply to the program at this point, need to have taken Principles of Biology, both the lecture and the lab. So the Ventura College one for that is VO1 and VO1L. Elementary chemistry as well as the lab, so V20 and V20L. English composition, so VO1A, as well as an elementary statistics. And so this can be Math V44 or Psych VO4. So either of those two classes would apply for your statistics requirement. And so again, all of these courses do need to be completed by spring 2024 in order for you to be eligible to enter the program. And that again is with the grade of C or better. So again, as we move through the program, as I mentioned, students take courses in a prescribed order. I'm not going to go through all of these courses with you, but again, all those courses are listed are ones that you must take. There are some GEs that are mandated, and there are some GEs that are opened for you to take whichever you prefer. And so you do need to, again, that's why we have you meet with our academic counselors before the start of every semester to make sure you're on the right track. With regards to the, timing, you do have, there's actually 6 semesters that you're going through. And so you have fall, spring, summer of year 1 and fall, spring, summer of year 2. And so just so you're aware, there are mandated classes that you do have to take during the summer semesters as well, so that you can graduate at the end of that second year. And so in your first year, you'll take things like Introduction to Animal Science and Veterinary Science, Basic Animal Handling, Anatomy, Physiology. Then you start getting into some nursing classes, imaging classes, where you go over things like X-ray and ultrasound. And then during the summer, you take microbiology. That is taken as a cohort, so you do need to take that with your class because there are required skills. One thing that I haven't mentioned yet is that as you are completing all of these classes, not only do you need to complete these classes, but you also have to successfully complete a list of required skills that are mandated by the AVMA that regulates, veterinary technician education. And so there are a list of almost 200 skills that you will complete over the course of your 2 years. And these skills are broken up into different classes. And so again, these are additional requirements that you must complete during your time with us. And so again, the microbiology course, there are required skills that will be checked off. So that's why you do take it together with your cohort. In the second year, we get into greater depth in more of the nursing classes basically adding on to your knowledge base, with more complex topics. The final semester of the second year is when you do your internship. And so all students have to do an internship. There's a minimum number of hours that you complete. These are done just at local practices where you get a chance to really practice all the skills that you've been learning over the past 2 years, to kind of be able to get a little experience on how to kind of put all this into action. With regards to, our students, many of our students do work in veterinary hospitals, but many don't. So don't let that discourage you if that's, if you've not worked in a veterinary hospital and you want to apply. We accept students either way. And so certainly I would encourage students that are accepted to the program or just want to pursue this in general. Let's say you don't get in. I would suggest trying to work in a practice in some sense, whether that's volunteering or, whatever the case may be, trying to get your, kind of foot in the door, so to speak, so that you really understand kind of what happens in a veterinary hospital. And so I think that sometimes, we have an idea of what might happen in a veterinary hospital, what, medicine, truly involves. And then we kind of get into it and we're like, wow, that wasn't really what I thought, or maybe this is not for me. And so I think the more time that we have to have that kind of hands-on experience, I think it helps guide us more to making sure that this is the career that we want. And so certainly, it's not for everyone. Again, I don't want to discourage you in any way, but I do want to say, that it's a challenging job. It's a greatly rewarding job as well. But you do need to make sure that you have your eyes wide open. And so, because for those to have longevity in the field of veterinary medicine, you really need to, really love it, but also learn how to protect yourself, your mental health, your physical health, and to make sure that you can have, a long-lived career in this field. And so, again, if you have any questions for any of us, again, my name is Dr. Mackenzie Rasmussen, and I'm the lead faculty. You can certainly email me, but also you can reach out to our lab assistant or our lab technician, Karen Ashcraft. The email for there is listed. My email is on our website. Also, the information for our two academic counselors, Maria and BZ. Again, those two are the two that you need to schedule your appointment with. And so please make sure that it is with one of those two individuals. If you have any additional questions, again, please let us know. The following slides are some questions that were asked through the info session. And so again, if you weren't there, I just wanted to go over some of the main questions that came up. And so here we go. So one question was, aside from the observation form, are there any other signatures required? And so the only signatures required is your signature on the application, and then the signature of the technician or veterinarian at the practice where you did your observation hours. So those are the only signatures that are needed. And so you do need to meet with the counselor before you submit your application. So can't just schedule it. You have to actually have met with them before you submit your application. This is so that they can verify that you've completed all of the prerequisite courses. So how does our waitlist work? As I mentioned earlier, we do only accept 24 students at the start of each fall semester. And so we have in the past had more than 24 applicants. And so what this means is that we do have a wait list of students that is generated each year that don't get in. Again, those names are also picked in random order and placed on that wait list. And this is so that if any of the selected students are not able to join the program after all, or if something happens, then we can then go down the list and bring students off of the wait list and bring them into the program. Again, unfortunately, once the start of the fall semester occurs, that wait list is no longer valid, and you will need to apply for the following year again and unfortunately be entered into the lottery again. At this point in time, we're not able to maintain a wait list from year to year. And so, again, if you are not accepted, do please still check your VCCD email. Because we could be reaching out to you over the course of the summer or up until the start of the fall semester, so that to let you know that you are off the wait list and into the program. We have done that in years past, and so again, I would urge you to keep monitoring your email so that if we do reach out to you about being off of the wait list, that you're able to follow up with us. For those that are admitted into the program, it usually starts at the normal start of the fall semester, so usually the second week of August. The other mandatory item for entering students is a mandatory orientation that usually happens a couple weeks before the start of the program. This is to go over important program information, make sure that you have turned in all of your paperwork that is required upon admission. For students that don't attend the mandatory orientation or don't turn in their paperwork by this time, unfortunately, you can be dropped from the program. And so again, this is why people from the wait list should pay attention. And so if we have students that aren't able to get everything done, then again, we may take students off that wait list. And so if you have any questions about that, just let us know. So do we accept classes from high school? And so because this is an accredited program, most high school veterinary, if you took any kind of veterinary course or animal handling course or something in high school, then unfortunately most of those classes do not articulate. However, if you did a dual enrollment course or took an AP exam, some of those things may transfer for your general education requirements. They would not apply for any of the specific vet tech classes, but they could potentially apply to your GEs. And so that's where meeting with one of our academic counselors and having your transcripts evaluated would be helpful. And so again, if you do not get in and you've not taken your prereqs, take them. And so make sure that you have completed Math V44 or its equivalent, Chemistry V20, V20L, Biology VO1, VO1L, and English VO1A. Make sure you have taken those 4 classes. And then also knock out some other GEs. As you saw as we went through those list of courses, it is a demanding program. And if you have to take GEs on top of your vet tech classes, it can be kind of a lot. And so it doesn't hurt to knock out some additional GEs just to make your life easier, if you get accepted to the program. And so another question was what happens if you don't pass one of the ag classes? Again, if you do not pass the ag class in the first year, then you are dropped from the program and have to reapply. If it's during the second year and you do not pass with a C or better, you are also dropped from the program. There is the potential to rejoin the program without starting over again if there is space in the program. But that's only if there is room. Otherwise, you would need to reapply. All right. And so success rate for the VT&E. And so we do have our scores posted. We only have one set of students that have taken the exam yet. Our first graduating class took the exam. The national average pass rate was 60%, and that's what our pass rate was as well. And so it was equivalent to the national pass rate. It is a tough test. Again, national averages, range about 60%. So not an easy task. However, we do have, we are dedicated to try and supporting our students to do well in that exam. We do offer a test preparation workshop that is free to students as they are studying to take their test. So after the completion of the program, there is that, workshop that students participate in. We have our second graduating class currently in that program set to take their tests in April. Let's see, what else? The other question, how are classes offered? And so with regards to when our classes are offered, the majority of our classes are Monday through Thursday between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. We do occasionally have a Friday class depending on instructor availability. We try to have students only coming to classes twice a week. That's because most of our classes are hybrid. This means that part of the instruction is in person and part of the instruction is online. And so again, because of this hybrid model, again, you really only meet one day per week for each course. And so again, we try not to have students on campus more than twice a week. It can't be guaranteed, so sometimes there will be a third day, but we do recognize that many of our students have family obligations, work obligations, so we really do want to try and make this as flexible as possible for you to be able to complete this and still need to, take care of your personal life as well. So where do the classes occur? As I mentioned earlier, we do have our classes at Ventura College East Campus. And so this is in Santa Paula. And so GE classes or prereqs would be taken at main campus, though some of them are offered at East Campus as well. And so the new teaching lab that should be open in the fall is located in the same building as the East Campus, just at the other end of the building behind the Ohana Pet Hospital, Santa Paula. It's not affiliated with them per se, it's just behind them. And so cost, and so again, there is no cost to apply to the vet tech program. Again, as far as costs for the vet tech program, I've already reviewed, zero cost textbooks. There's just one textbook you have to buy. You do need to purchase a stethoscope and a pair of dedicated scrubs for the program. Aside from that, again, looking at the Ventura College, Ventura County Promise, the California Promise, all of those programs that help with, covering tuition. Again, there's lots of scholarships out there, and so the Financial Aid Department, the Ventura College Foundation are more than happy to help you figure that piece out. And so again, there is a lot of support that, around that. And so currently, with regards to general education courses, we do not have a recency limit for having completed those GE courses. And so if you completed them like 5 years ago, they're still going to count. And so if you are a current student at Ventura, Moorpark, or Oxnard College, you do not need to resubmit your application. And so, but that's only for students that have taken classes within the last academic year. And so if you have not, then you may need to reapply. And if you're not sure what applies to you, just contact Admissions and Records, and they can help you figure that out, whether you're considered a current student or not. And so if you're not sure, don't just assume, make sure you reach out to them and verify that either way. All right, well, that concludes our information session recording. And so again, I would urge you to reach out if you have any additional questions. If it's specifically related to financial aid, reach out to them. If it's specifically, regarding admissions, reach out to Admissions and Records. If you're, curious about how to schedule your GEs, how to schedule prereqs if you've not taken them, then reach out to Maria or BZ from our counseling department. If you have just general questions about the program and whether this is the right choice for you, if you want to just talk that over with one of us, then go ahead and contact the Vet Tech program directly. Again, all of our contact information is on the Ventura College website, specifically on the Veterinary Technology page. And a lot more information about the program is there as well. All right, so thanks for sticking through this lengthy presentation, and I wish you all the best of luck with your career goals. Thanks.